This is Mike Casem sitting in for Casey Kasem. Coming up, an American Top 20 Extra by Tears for Fears, a song that shows why this duo is sometimes compared to the Beatles.
Hits from coast to coast.
With all the stars and their stories, it's American Top 40 with The Shadow. This week, an American singer makes her debut with the help of a British duo. They're Tears for Fears, and back in the mid-'80s, they were in the middle of their first big U.S. tour. And after a show in Kansas City, they came back to the hotel and headed for the lounge to unwind. They were feeling a little lost and confused, and Tears for Fears' Roland Orzabal says, "We were number one, playing for thousands of people every night, and it was meaningless because music's not about success. So there I was in this hotel lounge wondering what the point was." And that's when Roland heard her voice coming from a dark corner of the dinky lounge. He says, "It was so amazing because she cut right through your intellect, person to person, soul to soul. It reminded me of the power of music. And listening to her, she reminded me that I'm a musician, not a bloody pop star." Well, Tears for Fears never forgot her, and 2 years later they returned to Kansas City just to ask her to sing on their next album. And she didn't turn them down, of course. She sang on 2 Tears for Fears Top 40 hits, Sowing the Seeds of Love and Woman in Chains. And this week she debuts with a hit of her own, co-produced by Roland Orzabal. This is Olita Adams at number 32 on American Top 40 with Get Here.
Casey's biggest hits.
7 years ago this week, back in 1985, one of the biggest hits in the USA was Shout by a band that got started playing reggae versions of songs by Elvis. It was back in 1980 that Kurt Smith and Roland Orzabal both joined a band called Graduate. Those were the days of strange experimentation in British music, with bands doing all sorts of odd things to get noticed. And the idea that Kurt and Roland came up with was to do updated reggae versions of the hits of Elvis Presley. They put out an album and 3 singles. None of them hit in England or America, but they were hits in Spain. And that small success put Kurt Smith and Roland Orzabal on the path that led them to form the duo Tears for Fears, a duo with one of the biggest hits in the USA 7 years ago this week. Here's Shout.
Shout, shout, let it all out. American Top 40.
This next one's the first hit off Tears for Fears' new album, Elemental. Roland Orzabal says, "There's not really a message to anyone but myself. I mean, the songs are all about me, telling me what to do. My songs have always mirrored what's in my life, place I go philosophically, based on what I've been through with various ideas and where they got me." The latest hit for Tears for Fears moves up from 24 to 18 on American Top 40. Here's Break It Down Again.
America's Top Hits.
This week back in 1985, one of the top hits in the USA was Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It's by Tears for Fears, a duo who both came from broken homes. They say music gave them the family they never had before. Roland Orzabal and Kurt Smith both grew up in Bath, England. Both say they felt a lot of pain because of their parents' divorces. The singers came together first as friends who could lean on each other, and then as friends who expressed their hurt through their psychologically intense music. They say their families may have been in disarray, but their music gave them a new sense of family. Music like the song that was one of the top hits in the USA this week back in 1985.
Casey's Coast to Coast.
I'm Mike Casem for Casey Kasem. Now we're up to an American Top 20 Extra by Tears for Fears, a song that shows why this duo is sometimes compared to the Beatles. The members of Tears for Fears have often said that their favorite band, far and away, is the Beatles, and that love is found in their music. Roland Orzabal says, quote, "We didn't just love the Beatles, we listened to their music for inspiration while we wrote and recorded. So it's not surprising that we wound up sounding like them." Critics found Beatles-esque sounds in songs like Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Shout. And Roland says, quote, "When we were working on our third album, we decided to write a Beatles song just to prove that we could do it. I think we may have actually come too close. Some people were upset that we were ripping off the Beatles, when actually we were just paying tribute." Now, with an extra, here's Tears for Fears with that hit from 1989, Sowing the Seeds of Love.
Cutting them down with Casey Kasem.